Okay, well, this is different. We're doing this by Microsoft Teams instead of Zoom, so everything is new again. I'd like to call this special meeting of the West Fargo Public Library Board to order. Let's see, let's go with Leanne. Are you here?
I am here.
Okay, Tony?
I am here.
And I'm here, the library board president. Tony is the vice president? Yes?
Yes.
And
Last name I
Leanne, do you
knew.
have an office?
Treasurer.
Treasurer, okay. And we have a couple of special guests. Mary, would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. I'm North Dakota State Librarian Mary Susie.
Angela?
Hi, everyone. Angela Seifer. I'm the Executive Director of the National Digital Inclusion Alliance, and I'm in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay, thanks. Bree?
Hi, everyone. I'm Bree, and I am the Technical Services Manager.
And Kirsten?
Hi, everybody. I am Kirsten Hennigan. I am the Adult Services Manager at the library.
Dandy, thank you for being here. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the agenda as ordered, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's done. The reason for this meeting is to discuss the grant that is the digital navigator grant. The board had passed a motion at its previous meeting to urge the library director to go for this grant. Since then, of course, things have changed dramatically. And I understand that members of the library staff have some things to say to us about that. So that's why we're here. Jenna, would you like to kick things off?
Yes, thank you. So in the meantime, since applying for this grant, we have a new administration. And that's a little piece of where some of the discomfort has come from, is some of the changes that we have been seeing in the federal government. I put together a few slides to kind of summarize what we applied for, what the vision for West Fargo could be with this grant, and some of the concerns that have been discussed around the table with our management team. And then we also have Angela Seifer here, who NDIA is actually the grantee, and we are a sub-grantee underneath NDIA. And so she can speak to how that will work a little bit and answer some of the board's questions. All right, are you seeing my slides?
Yes.
Okay. So I kind of wanted to start with, I know we are in the process of the creation of our next strategic plan that's coming very soon. But one of the things that is ready and is known are the values that are core to that strategic plan. So I wanted to open with that so you know where we're going and how this digital navigator program fits within that. So growth and learning, compassion, and community and connection were the three pieces that rose to the top. To understand how that fits together, you need to know what a digital navigator actually is. Digital navigators work one-on-one with the public. They're guides who are assisting folks with individualized support to get internet access in their homes, that connect them up with what devices might work best for them, and help them to acquire the skills that they need to live in the digital world that we reside in to. So that's answering questions, helping them build those skills, and then connecting them up with the resources that they need as well. What that looks like for us is in-library technology assistance, whether that's the one-on-one kind of technology tutoring, outreach in our community, for example, at our senior facilities, special events that we could plan where we target specific populations, for example, new Americans or English language learners. And there's also a need for connecting folks in need with devices. Community needs list could meet. So we already have a limited tech tutoring program. While this is mentioned in some of our library marketing, we don't really blast that out into the community that this is something that we provide because frankly, we don't have the staffing capacity to do more than we are already doing, but we know that that need exists. The senior living facilities that we provide outreach to for book delivery, they have been asking for years to have some of our staff come and answer technology questions for their residents. There's a large population in West Fargo of English speakers of other languages, those that don't speak English, or those that aren't particularly fluent in English. We are frequently using Google Translate at the desk or family members to assist us in translation for basic tasks for folks like scanning and printing. Just yesterday or the day before, we were helping an Arabic family with some basic tasks. I've seen a lot of Spanish at the desk as well. So there's a great need for helping folks with language barriers. Lots of government forms. You need to be able to to navigate the digital world to file. And of course, just a lot of our library resources are digital as well. Our digital collection is now larger than our physical collection. Some organizational needs this grant could help meet. We have a great need for help with just technology management. When the community comes in and is asking a lot of technology related questions at our circulation desk, this does become a burden on our circulation staff who have a lot of other tasks to do. So this could reduce some of that burden on that team. It would help streamline some of our communication with city IT and technology vendors to have some folks in-house that are just really savvy in dealing with some technology. And there's a Digital Navigator Plus component of this grant as well. So in providing some higher level technology management assistance for the public, but as well as our staff, I'm hopeful that that person could help guide us towards some better software options for our public computers, for like print release, self-checkout, and some other things that we routinely struggle with technology issues on. So we're not providing the best service to the public when they come in wanting to do these things with our existing technology because we have these ongoing issues. When we applied for this grant, there is an in-kind commitment. So just the general overview of what that in-kind commitment looks like is 20 hours a week supervision and management of this program, 12 hours a week goes towards communications and marketing, and 12 hours a week towards data management. Just some kind of general timeline on how we think some of this might roll out. So late spring, early summer, we would be hiring and onboarding that Digital Navigator Plus. There would be training. NDIA has plans for a Digital Navigator cohort and some training that they're hoping to provide. The city IT is hoping to provide a little training as well. They also just need to learn, our library systems and technology and things as well. So as people are coming in and using things within the library or bringing their own devices, they need to know what questions people are asking and how best to provide support to them. I see this person planning and starting that senior center outreach schedule, planning a fall winter outreach event, and then participating in the hiring process for the digital navigators that they will be supervising. Fall and winter, we'll be onboarding those digital navigators. And then that Digital Navigator Plus can start a little bit more of the upper level aspects of their time. Working on planning some spring outreach to the community. Getting a more effective regular schedule with the senior center and some other things going as well. Hopeful that we can have digital navigators in our main library and some time in the satellite as well. In the memo that went out, I shared kind of an overview of some of the concerns that had been expressed. And so I'm going to outline that here a little bit as well. So there's some feelings of uncertainty financially with federal funding generally and the timeline. Since this is a grant, there is no guarantee of ongoing financial support. This is a reimbursement structure, so there is some risk with that. Also, just in the state of North Dakota, we know that there are a variety of property tax bills which could have impacts on library funding in the future. So just financial uncertainty about our budget generally outside of the realm of this grant. Sustainability. In looking at our organizational growth, our supervisory capacity. I've outlined here a little bit of kind of where we're at right now and what we see as potential growth needs staffing wise. With the opening of our satellite, there could be a possible ask coming this summer. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm just keeping an eye on what traffic is like, what circulation is like. If that justifies the change, I could be asking the board to approve adding a third circulation supervisor. And what I would plan to ask, at least at this point, would be to eliminate one of the full-time library assistants to add that full-time circulation supervisor. So it would be a very minimal budgetary impact, but because the circulation supervisor has additional what is the word I'm looking for? They can do things. They can do things on the computers that other people can't.
Skills?
Skills, permissions. Permissions, I think is what I'm looking for. Within our systems. There's also just a level of responsibility and training that they're expected to take on, and we need to pay them accordingly for that. Then midway through 26, I would look at promoting someone to a senior manager role, potentially a senior manager of library services, putting together supervision of circulation, technical services, the digital navigator program, and management of technology underneath that senior manager. Then January of 28, potentially looking to promote one more senior manager for oversight of our programming departments. So adult services, youth services, and outreach. All of this is penciled in. Obviously, we have to see what circulation does, what programming does, what our usage patterns do. We're in a period of change with the opening of this satellite location. Space constraints. It's a known fact that we are undersized and we are out of office space. So we have a kind of a kiosk desk that we acquired when the city moved into the new city hall building. There was a bunch of furniture left behind. This was just like a technology station. So we grabbed that with the idea that it could be used as a technology desk on the main floor of the library. In order to have floor space to put that, we would lose our lactation pod in the main library. We did, however, merge the Little Red Reading Bus collection with our main collection, which opened up a bunch of room in our larger storage space on the main floor of the library. So we are intending to create a staff lactation space in that room, but we would not have a public lactation room any longer. There's also potential that we would lose that small meeting room on the main floor of the library just for need of office space for the digital navigators. This would still be a net gain of meeting rooms for us in 2025 because we did add the 2 additional small meeting rooms in the satellite location. Staffing impacts. Staff time and resources could be used to support or expand other core resources if we don't move forward with the digital navigator program. And, you know, we're navigating a time of change and there's uncertainty there, which can lead to problems with staff retention. So don't want that to happen either. Recently, we've asked for funding for things like carpet, a new outreach vehicle. Launching a new program could cause confusion if we're not careful with how we roll out messaging. And if we launch a big new shiny program and then later have to scale it back, that could cause some distrust or hurt feelings with the public as well. A big thing is really just timing. Is this the right time? I think it's clear that this would be wonderful. This is definitely answering a need. Libraries and librarians have always been information navigators, but the information that we help the public navigate has changed over time. We're in a period where that's changing rapidly and it's going very digital. And so this really does meet a lot of community need, but is it the right time? This is something that the board really needs to consider.
Okay, before we move on to questions for Angela, Jenna, I'd like to hear from the staff to respond to this presentation and to hear what concerns they had that prompted this meeting.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, dandy. There was no way for me to chat independently with Bree or Kirsten, so I apologize for springing this on you guys, but who wants to go first?
If you're willing.
If you're willing, yes.
I can go first.
Okay,
Um,
thank you very much.
so I apologize. I'm not super prepared for this. I wasn't expecting on being here, but I felt like I should at least be here to see what's going on. I guess I have some major concerns with the funding for this position. That's a huge issue for me. I feel like we don't know if the funding is going to last. I'm really concerned about what's going to happen if the funding all of a sudden stops. Adding a pretty big position with no money to fund it is kind of a big deal, both to our staff, to the public, and to the person that takes that position if we are to move forward with it. Also, I'm just concerned with I feel like we are moving in so many directions at once. We just opened the satellite and our staff is still kind of growing accustomed to that. I'm I I am concerned about just the constant movement. While definitely its growth is a good thing, changes can also be good. But I think this is a lot, and it's a lot very fast. I'm sure Kirsten has other things that she can chime in and give her opinion about, but those are my major reservations with moving forward with this. It's just a lot of new stuff all at once, and we don't know where the funding is necessarily. Well, we know where it's coming from if it happens for sure, but that's from what I know is still kind of up in the air. So
Thanks. Appreciate that. Kirsten, do you have anything to add?
Sure. I think my greatest concern is sustainable growth and what that looks like for our library. In the last 5 years, a lot has changed, right? So from COVID to our building's not open to all of these different elements, and there's been much turnover within our organization and much change within our specific library. And bearing witness to all of that change, it feels a little flashbacky to this exact moment. It's like an interesting train that we continue to kind of come back to. So when I'm thinking about like what does this successful program look like, I am really excited about this possibility, but I also have a much larger part of me that's a bit more of a hesitation of, can we sustainably launch this service with this new satellite? We don't have that information with also a summer months of our busiest time, knowing that our youth services staff will likely not be able to be at that satellite. So it's going to pull strain on other departments in order to continue to have that operational. I can see just a sort of a recurring theme of when larger changes happen. It just, I don't know that we have the underbelly, the do the stuff staff is what I think we've called them before in a previous board meeting in years past, of how do we make the stuff happen that the public most readily expect of us to deliver flawlessly, and do we have the people to do that? I think there's a bit of an unknown now adding that satellite. Can we sustainably keep that open? I mean, we're on day 3 of it being open, so we don't know. That is probably the largest unknown. And so my concern really is around, how do we continue services to the public sustainably? How do we maintain the incredible staff that we currently have? And how do we do that by also meeting the needs of our public? So there's a comment earlier about senior technology. We have started some technology outreach to our seniors, and certainly there's always going to be more. And I think that is kind of where we are in the growth of our library is there's always going to be more that we can do. There's always going to be more needs than what we have fundable, staffed, and all of that good stuff. But how do we do that so we don't put ourselves at a disadvantage? And that's where my hesitation would be to move forward with this is we have greater needs outside of what this grant could address that are higher priority, in my opinion, that we could be focusing on if we don't pursue this endeavor and we're able to then really focus on our current existing services and continuing to grow those into a place where we could then eventually have something like this. I don't know if it would look different or what that would look like, but that would be those are my large rambling big concerns of what we're endeavoring upon.
So in a more perfect world, in a more perfect world, this grant opportunity comes along for the library to be able to hire for the length of the grant someone who would be able to assist primarily senior citizens with things technological. And we could be assured of that funding because the stuff is always, grants like this always happen. Grants like this are always funded one way or another. In that more perfect world, Bree and Kirsten, would you be in favor of moving forward with the pursuit of this grant? Or does the constraints that you see placed upon the staff currently prevent you from wishing to move forward with the grant, even in a perfect world?
Yes. I think even in a perfect world, I don't know that we have all of the support that we need to be successful in this program.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna echo that.
Okay. Tony or Leanne, do you have any questions, observations, concerns?
Well, I don't have questions. I think I work with a lot of grants, so I work with Title 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. And those grants, I think Tony to your point, they fluctuate year to year, but they're pretty consistent and we can rely on them. And with other grants that are year to year or every 3 years, I think that was going to be my question, and maybe it was answered already. Like for this, what is the length of the grant? Because I know when we work with grants, very specifically within a contract, we do put like the end date because they're not a permanent employee, they're a grant funded employee. And so I think we just have to be aware of that piece. At least that's my experience in working with grants and positions funded by grants. I think a lot of times it is easier. Well, you don't always want to buy products with grants, right? Because products can come and go. But people, like when you buy people with grants, the hope is that you can build capacity within the system so that when the grant ends, you still have that capacity. And that's what I hear in the concerns of the staff is like this could be a really big program, and how do we, with all the other things going on, continue to at a high level make sure that we can sustain what we've learned without the person. And sometimes that's hard because we rely on people a lot. So I think my question, and it's around sustainability, but building capacity. Um, and then, yeah, I do worry, like with our current political environment, I worry about all grants in general, specifically library, education, all of those in terms of what we'll see, what gets taken away. You know, most of the grants I work with are funded through the Department of Education, which is of concern. So I don't know. I've done a lot of work with grants, and we've done a lot of good work with grants. And so I think it can be something that's positive for the library, if we look at it as a way to build capacity in others and maybe not as a permanent place unless the funding's permanent. So I could ramble on and on about that, so I'll stop.
It
Mr.
strikes me
Stukel?
that this is maybe a formalization of something that to some degree you're already doing. Not that you're planning on doing it, but it's happening to you. And it might be an opportunity to learn how to deal with it better with some assistance, these positions, and to figure out kind of what, you know, how to, well, maybe how to live without it when it ends. That's kind of a worry, of course, I have usually, and even more so now. But we just don't know, and I don't know if we can operate with assuming the worst.
I was in favor of the library pursuing this grant because it's a service that we could, it would fund a service that we could provide to the citizens of the community. So what else was I going to say about that?
It sounded like there's a but to that. Like,
It does, and I'm trying to figure out what that is. Trying
Okay.
to be coherent about it. Well, Angela, what do you have to say about the concerns stated regarding sustainability?
So NDIA's strategic plan is completely focused on sustainability of the field of digital equity, not just NDIA. And that field includes you all. Libraries have been doing what we now call digital equity, digital inclusion, digital navigators, you use whatever words you like. But libraries have always done that work. Libraries have always been helping people learn how to use technology. So I think Tony's spot on that this is just, it's defining it a little bit more. And in the grant application, we specifically said a goal is sustainability. Of these 13 sites, because West Fargo would be one of 13, of those 13 sites, but then also defining if we are able to figure out sustainability, then that's a model, right? As we would be working on that, we would be, everything NDIA does is around helping our community, libraries like yours. The community is also housing authorities, local governments, community-based organizations. So it's anyone who's doing this technology kind of assistance. But helping these organizations to figure out how to keep the work going. And so anytime we do a project like this, our goal, and this is how this grant is written, it is to serve these 13 sites to help you all do this, but then also document every lesson learned. Any template that we create for you is then publicly available. So like all of this would have a greater impact on the country. NDIA and I myself personally made this money happen. Like we were in those conversations to have 2.75 billion for the Digital Equity Act occur. It is heartbreaking for me what's happening right now. I also want to do a little bit, so that's the sustainability thing. Sorry, I don't want to cut that part off. That's really, really important to know that we 100% get it. And I think the other piece of this on that sustainability front is that we don't just hand over the money and tell you what the rules are. We are very much about learning together. So those 13 sites, there'll be cohorts. Whoever's running the project for you all is talking to other managers of the project in these other sites. Like that's that kind of professional development capacity building that's going to happen. And our team is helping make that happen. And we have folks who are really good at this stuff involved in it. It's a 4-year grant. Like these are significant length grants. And then there's a 5th year for evaluation. So one of the things that I am still very excited about with the Digital Equity Act grants is how much of a focus evaluation has, because that's really about sustainability. But the way that we've framed it is it's not just about data collection and showing the impact that you all will have. It's also the storytelling, and it's figuring out who some of those potential sources of funding might be. For example, one of the consultants that we have in the grant is focused on health. And specifically, her job will be to work with some of the sites to figure out who are the partners in your community where we could be working with, who would see the value of this in the health field and gather up the data so that you can then go to them and say, this is actually impacting your bottom line. This is helping your patients be healthier, it's saving you money, it's saving them money, and go at how is it possible to receive donations from those particular entities. Again, not for us, for you guys. I am not here to tell you to do this, right? Like, I would love to have you all. If we don't have you, I'm going to go find another site. I'll just like straight up. But I would love to have you all. We've already spent this time with you, working with you, having you. I think one of the things Jenna could share is we are super organized. I have a tech savvy team. We are crazy organized. We do not ask more of you than we possibly need to ask of you. We try to limit it as much as we can because your time is really valuable. And I formed NDIA 10 years ago to support libraries like yours and other community-based organizations that were struggling with all this tech stuff. Because this is the future. We may not like it, but things like AI, they're here to stay. So AI is a good example. We'll wrap that in. We're already doing AI pilots now. So one of the benefits then is that you guys receive all the learnings that we're doing around that. If you would like to include AI in any of your digital skills training, we have the curriculum, we have the resources, it's yours. But it's all about your decision making. Is like, we're really cautious. We exist for folks like you, but really local decision making is paramount. Just a quick level setting on the money. So of the grants, there were 65 grants that were recommended for award from Department of Commerce, NTIA, and 4 have that money obligated. Well, all the grants are technically obligated because Congress said, you know, it went through appropriations. But the grant itself is obligated. We are one of 4. The other 61 do not. They are still waiting on that. So we have a contract, we have a legal document that says this will move forward. When the OMB pause for all the grants happened, we got caught in that. The person that our grant specialist at NIST said, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you. So everything paused. We were not talking to her. And there were, they call it curing, like adjustments to the budget. I know, I never heard that term before. The adjustments to, like they wanted to see, for example, they wanted to see the consultant proposals for all the consultants. They wanted somehow our audit that we had uploaded to the system hadn't come through, right? So they were finding these things that weren't, because they needed all to be exactly according to the rules, hadn't come through. So we're responding to that and giving them everything they need. It is a super slow process going through all that. Now that it is happening again. The person that we have, the agency in charge of the grant itself is NIST, which is also inside the Department of Commerce. NTIA did not have the capability to actually manage grants, so they partnered with another agency inside Commerce called NIST. And I think we just got super unlucky. Our grant specialist, this is her first grant ever. She's very sweet. She might be 25, I'm not sure. She's never done it before. So she's trying her best, but it takes, we will give her something and then she has to go talk to her mentor because she can't answer any questions on her own because she doesn't know the answers. But she did get back to me today, actually saying, okay, what you gave us looks good. I now will be determined that we're missing these 2 things. Okay, great. I sent her off those 2 things. So now we wait and see. I think we're super close. Those two things should be it. I don't know. In terms of the money itself, what NTIA has told me is that we could ask for funds for a month and then expend those funds. So the way we think this would work, I can't get answers from NIST. This sweet young, one of my team calls her bless her heart, the sweet young bless her heart. She just doesn't know the answers. So I have to rely upon NTIA, and they're not managing the grant. So they're doing their best to tell me how they think it would work. So what they say is that we would request the funds we would use for that month. So you all would say, we need X dollars for this month. We would tell that to NIST. I'm told NIST does turn these, it's not actually NIST. We say that to a system called asap.gov, if anybody's used that before. So we would use that system. We would say, here's what we need. And then I'm told it moves very quickly, and then that money's in our account. And then we would have electronic systems set up with you all, then we dump that money in your account. What NTIA has warned me of, and very polite, non-political kind of language, they're like, it could change at any moment. They could tell you that they need to do a reimbursement method. So this is why we told all the sites could be a reimbursement method. Like, we have to plan for worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is somebody, and this is where the political stuff comes to play. Somebody could look at it and say, this is based upon the Digital Equity Act. Quick note, Congress named that. We can't change it. It's based upon Digital Equity Act money. So because it has the word equity in it, we're going to slow it down. This is the risk factor. Like, right now, it's moving forward. I'm actually surprised we've gotten as far as we have, which makes me think it might keep moving forward. Because we've gotten this far. I actually thought by now we would have lost it. There was a point of time where we were on a list. I keep saying we, which is inappropriate. But NDIA helped to make that money happen. So I really feel a very strong connection to this money for everybody, not just this one grant. The Digital Equity Act was on that list. But it was a Digital Equity Act competitive grant funds. That Digital Equity Act was divided into 3 buckets. All the states created digital equity or digital opportunity plans. That was amazing. Those are all done. And then all the states have money to implement those plans. That's in process. That's awesome. And then there's this 3rd bucket of these competitive grants. So on this list, and this was in the DEI, going to lose, was the Digital Equity Act competitive grants. Interesting. I saw this list after our grant had started moving forward. So something happened. Somebody took us off the list. Sorry. They took the Digital Equity Act competitive grants off the list. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to that sweet young bless her heart. So it could, like, that's the risk, right? The risk is politically, and I really think it's really narrowed in on because it has the word equity in Digital Equity Act. That's the risk that I do not want to sugarcoat with you all. NDIA just did. We took 16 of our affiliates, some of which who are sub-grantees, but some are just, we have a community of 2,000 organizations spread across US. Took them to DC and we did meetings in congressional offices. We concentrated on Republican offices, but did Democratic offices also. We went in and said, here's the language that we were using. It worked once, and then we all kept using it. The Digital Equity Act has a branding problem. We are here to tell you what this work is really about. Grandma's going to be safe online. Veterans are going to be able to talk to their doctors virtually. Like, we just went through, like, here's what it really is. No pushback ever. Because when you talk about what the work actually is, everybody's like, yes, that's a good idea. So even though the timing is not ideal, I do think technology is not going away, and it's going to keep changing. And libraries are all, and other organizations, it's not the only institution struggling, right, with all of the tech issues. The opportunity, even though the timing is not good, is the money, and it's everything NDIA brings with the money. I have an incredible team. 3 of whom were librarians. They came from the library field, right? So they understand working. And one of the other sub-grantees is a library, the Kuskokwim Library in Alaska. And the rest are different. And we intentionally recruited sites that are geographically diverse. The people they serve are diverse. Like we were going for older adults and veterans and urban, rural, tribal, suburban, like everything. So that because there's a lot of learning to be done in that kind of environment. We are also really careful politically. We have sites in all kinds of different places because we want to make sure it's really clear that everybody understands the value of this work. Because again, that's sustainability, for everybody to understand this value of this work.
Thank you. I have a question for Bree and or Angela, or Kirsten. And let's say that the fates decide to give us what we want and we get this grant money. What's your biggest fear?
I would say the actual stand up of the program. So in our application for this grant, much of that, or the initial application was that it would actually be under my department. And Jenna had mentioned earlier today that she would then be overseeing the project itself. I have concerns about the internal capacity for the management of the grant. There are funds that we put as in kind into our application that would take from our existing staff focus in order to stand up the service itself.
I'm not quite clear on what you mean.
Sure. So in the application,
Yeah.
there or in the program itself, there's funding dollars specifically for the management of the service. Instead of us saying we're going to go out and hire a brand new manager, much of that management was included into my position. So the 50% or whatever it was we intended to have a donation of my staff dollars to match those dollars in order to manage the service itself. So when we first talked about it, it was going to be within my department and I would be standing the service up itself. But Jenna mentioned earlier today that she would be taking it into her purview. I think my concern still stands that our internal capacity of us as the organization taking in these fund dollars, being able to stand that up. I know NDIA has so many incredible resources and all of the great things that they do. They have the proof in the pudding on that. I'm just worried about us as West Fargo Public Library. Is it the right opportunity for us to do that? Or should it be a different time for a different organization? I think we can certainly be an affiliate of NDIA and get a lot of that great information and great resources. I know there's a lot of capacity that could be gained if we have the capacity to stand it up. I think that's my hookup with it, is the initial part of that, while we're also initially standing up our entire satellite location and going into the heat of summer, which is our biggest time. Even if we were to delay the hiring and do it in fall, and we have months of the satellite location, I think we're still going to be at a capacity issue administratively in order to stand up this program. Without additional hires, that would likely have to be outside of the grant.
Okay. Got it. Thank you very much. Bree, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything Kirsten said. I'm still very concerned about funding and going away and just the sustainability of the position itself, who's going to be training the person, how that's all going to work, how it works with other departments in our library and that type of thing too.
Plenty of opportunity, limited resources.
The way I understood it, that initial person would be hired. And I presume also a lot of the startup management would fall on you, Jenna, probably. And it would kind of get on its feet over the summer and really start in earnest in the fall, where you would have some experience of kind of how you're going to do it and how you're going to evolve it. I may not understand at all, I guess, what's going on, but that's the way I saw it. It wasn't a leap into it with both feet and you're off and running, but it's some learning that would be going on by the library as to how you're going to be able to do this.
Correct, yes.
Can I offer also, NDIA is currently running an 18 site, what we call National Digital Navigator Core. So this will be building off of that. That project's funded by google.org and it's wrapping up in the next 6 months. So we've been through the training and helping put folks scale up to this. So we do all the training and we do it at all levels. And so this grant specifically provides training and funding for management level, data level, comms, and the digital navigators. Because you recognize you have to have the rest of that support system for the digital navigators. So it's not just funding for the digital navigators, it's those other 3 positions and it's partial funding for those other 3.
Okay, so Jenna, we've heard concerns expressed about staffing levels and the ability to accommodate this if we're lucky enough to get the grant. How can we handle the strains that this would put upon an already small library staff? And we also run the risk of offering this service and not being able to fund it once the grant money goes away without additional support from the city. So how do we do that?
Yeah, so, well, number one, change is hard. And to throw change on top of change is very hard. So I think these are very valid, real concerns. I don't want to burn out staff. And we do have real concerns about our management structure. If you look at our organizational chart, we are getting a little too wide. And when you start supervising too many people, you're not really supervising anybody well. So that is a big concern. When I talked with managers today about moving the supervision of the Digital Navigator Plus to under myself, that was in response to the fears of the managers not wanting to supervise additional people. I did not want to, I wanted to take that upon myself. But also, my background is in programming. So I spent 15 years working in library programs. And so I'm very well qualified to do that work and to guide somebody in setting up a program like this. But it's, not gonna lie, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be busy. As far as knowing that this is a grant-funded program that could have an end date, I would say with library programs, they end all of the time. An example would be, we had a wonderful Mahjong club for a long time, very popular, people attended it. We no longer have a Mahjong club. Services and programs change as the needs and interests of the community change. This is a little different in that if the funding goes away, that could be why the program changes. But also, one never knows where the funding could come from again in the future. I mentioned that, you know, our job is to help people navigate information. This is a need that is not going away. Whether we have the funding or not, these questions are coming through our doors. We are going to be helping people with these things. So the service might look a little different, but we're still going to be doing this work one way or another. My hope is that at least one of these positions we will have made a permanent position before the end of this grant period and included in our budget.
You said something that I guess maybe I said before, but it's been striking me all along too, that you're already into this with or without the grant and the people. Kind of because it comes at you anyway. And might be an opportunity, if given some people, that you could figure out and organize how to do it, I guess. That may carry on afterwards. But I don't know really how that works out. And if you're, you know, situated to where you're more comfortable than you could be about dealing with this, that helps.
My natural slothful and careful nature is telling me that we've heard a lot of stuff and now I want some time to think about it before we move on. Is there a, yes, ma'am?
Would you mind if I interjected just for a
No,
moment? So I just want to share a couple of thoughts, if I may, with hearing the concerns of the staff. And that's their concerns are understandable with the new satellite location and the unknowns of the growing community. In terms of the funding ending, a lot of programs get funded with grants for the grant period. That often the idea behind a grant is it's seed money to start something new. Hopefully you'll be able to sustain it, but you can't always sustain programs. Programs shift and change a lot. And so, and people that take positions that are funded with grant dollars know that it's a grant funded position. It's not like you're going to be saying this is a permanent position. Like, you're going to be transparent about that, right? So I understand everybody's concerned right now about what's happening with federal funding, and that's a very, very legitimate concern. I don't know if it's a reason to not move forward with a project. The Digital Navigator program in the library world has been around for a number of years, but just under different names, as Angela said. But the name Digital Navigator has been around very solidly in the library world, in the public library world, for 4 to 5 years at larger and then at smaller libraries. I can share with you, and maybe Jenna already did, so I apologize if I'm repeating something she shared. When this grant opportunity came up, NDIA reached out to the state's technology department, and NDIT reached out to us, and we reached out to our largest public libraries. Several of the libraries said, wow, this is interesting. We don't have the capacity. And your library stepped forward and said, this is a need that we have. It would help us meet a need of our community. It may be a struggle to implement, but we'll figure out how to implement it. And your library would be the first library in the state to implement the official Digital Navigator program. And so you would be leading the way for North Dakota. So I think it's absolutely a board should do their due diligence. I just wanted you to have that piece of it as well as you're making your consideration. Do you guys have any questions for me?
thanks, Mary. Tony, Leah. All right, so let me ask my fellow board members. Last board meeting, we passed a motion urging the library to apply for this grant. Have you heard anything today that would cause you to say, let's hold off on this. Let's not have the library move forward on this grant?
No, I haven't heard anything today that would change my mind around that first, I think, urge to move forward with it. I think it sounds like a great opportunity and it will bring some, I think, different ways of thinking and maybe some work on staffing that we've continued to work on through the years. Um, I just, with an opportunity like this, and I am one that I jump kind of feet first into things. So, but I just I want to make sure that as a board, like we're not getting too, I know that it was brought to us for like um, feedback and stuff, but I want to make sure like as a board, like we're not getting too much in the weeds. Um, because really our goal and our role is to work with policy, to work with Jenna. Um, and so just making sure that we're staying on the right path of what our role is as a board. But for me, I would still support moving forward with this venture.
And I would say my understanding of the presentation that I've seen suggests that we're moving into it, not, both feet at once right up front, but it's going to be evolved, I guess, to the fall somewhere where we start picking up steam. And I would agree with the other kind of things you said too about it's not necessarily our business to be quite that deep in the weeds. So, I mean, I'm in support of this.
And weed depth is always something, or it has been something that I haven't really paid attention to. Maybe it's because I'm a retired librarian, and because I really like public libraries, so it's something that I feel deeply about. And somebody wants, I'm not bothered by getting involved, but that's maybe beyond the board's function. So I will join with my other two board members in saying I don't see any reason, based on what I've heard this evening, to stall on the grant. I think it's an exciting opportunity. Lord willing, we get the money. If we don't, then it's been an exercise, and we'll try again and work on staffing at the same time and services. Bree and Kirsten, I really appreciate your input and your presence. It was extremely valuable, and I really appreciate it. Angela and Mary, thank you very much for your presence. I appreciate your input as well. So I guess the next item on our agenda is other business, which is ominous. There is nothing specified here. Is there any other business? Okay. Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn. I'll move to adjourn.
I always wait for Tony, but you got it, Larry.
Okay, well, as the president or chair, it seems like it's not something I should be doing, but let's just move things along. So all those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Okay, me too. Our next board meeting is the 10th of April, and we will be doing it using Teams again. So unless some other product comes along to allow us to do that. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you all being here, and I appreciate your help. Good night.
Have a good night.
You too. Thanks.